Naruto, God Level Lottery Powers Unleashed. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 1. Okay, the graduation assessment is over. Those who pass the assessment can attend the graduation ceremony a week later, and those who do not pass the assessment will work hard next year. On the podium, the teacher announced indifferently. Some of the students in the audience were happy, some were sad. Alas, forget it, let's wait for next year. Xingchen sighed secretly, packed his bag, and prepared to go back. Wow. At this moment, there was a commotion throughout the classroom, and almost everyone made a stunning sound. Without looking up, Xingchen glanced towards the classroom door. Tsunade. At the door, a woman stood. The women's double decade. The face is beautiful. The figure is even more hot. Even this group of pure love teenagers can't help but reverie. Senju Tsunade, granddaughter of the original Hokage, can be called the princess of Konoha. Her reputation in Konoha is naturally very loud. Miss Tsunade. When the very serious male teacher in the class saw Tsunade, he immediately showed a flattering smile and saluted respectfully. Teacher Mui, I'm here to find the stars. Your assessment should be over, right? Tsunade asked politely. Under everyone's envious and jealous gaze, Hogyoku picked up his school bag and walked towards Tsunade. Xingchen, I will come back to see you immediately after completing the task. Aren't you very moved? Tsunade showed a gentle smile, which made people feel like spring breeze. Xingchen then noticed that Tsunade was still wearing a cultivation suit, and apparently came to him as soon as he returned from the mission. Tsunade, thank you. Syllable. Tsunade's attitude changed sharply, and a violent chestnut buckled on the door of Xingchen's head, put his hands in his waist, and said indignantly, How many times have I told you, I am your sister, don't call me by my name. Xingchen touched his nose and said with a wry smile, Got it, Sister Tsunade. Hoshi and Tsunade, of course, are not brothers and sisters. When Xingchen was 1 year old, his parents died in the mission, and Hoshido's parents and Tsunade's parents were once comrades on the same team, and after Hoshido's parents died, Tsunade's parents took Hogyoku over and raised him as their own child. So, Tsunade became Hoshido's older sister. Xingchen is a traverser, has adult thinking, and although he lacks in cultivation talent, he is very clever in ordinary life, and he has often been amused by him since he was a child. Therefore, Tsunade, who was 8 years older than him, used to be very sticky to him. Now that Tsunade is 20 years old, he has become an excellent ninja who can stand alone, and has grown up in countless trials, and naturally is no longer so easy to tease. But the relationship between her and Xingchen is getting better and better, and there is no substitute for each other. Then again, tomorrow is your 12th birthday, how do you want to celebrate? Tsunade softened again. Xingchen was slightly stunned. Birthday? By the way, it has been 12 years since he crossed into the Hokage world, and tomorrow is his 12th birthday. However, as a traverser, instead of obtaining the heaven-defying golden finger like others, he seemed to be rejected by this world. He thinks he is not stupid and has practiced hard, but he entered the ninja school at the age of 7, and now he has not successfully graduated at the age of 12. You know, in the 30th year of Konoha, the ninja world is in a stormy situation, and there are constant frictions between countries, and the situation is very serious. So Konoha at this time, unlike the Naruto period in the original book, the normal graduation age of ninja school is about 10 years old. It is also common for those under the age of 10 to graduate. Sister. At this moment, a sturdy little boy ran over excitedly, and when he saw Tsunade, he was very excited. Xingchen naturally knew this little boy as well. Tsunade's real younger brother, Senju Rope Tree. Rope Tree, why are you here? Tsunade was surprised. Orochimaru-sensei told me that you are back, and I came to find you. Rope Tree said, pouted again, and said dissatisfied, Who is your own brother? Every time you come back, you come to find Brother Chen. Xingchen smiled and patted the head of the rope tree. Little slippery head, even you eat my vinegar. Xingchen can get Tsunade, how can he not get the rope tree that is 2 years younger than him? When he was a child, he was stickier than Tsunade, and it was not an exaggeration to say that he worshipped the stars. Tsunade also knew that Naoki was just joking and didn't care about it, but she noticed something else. Rope Tree, your name is Orochimaru-sensei? At the mention of this, the rope tree raised his eyebrows again, and his expression soared. I've graduated from ninja school, and Uncle Orochimaru said he would be my instructor. You've graduated? Tsunade gave a thumbs up and praised, not bad. Rope Tree scratched his head cheekily, seemingly embarrassed. Immediately, he looked at the stars again. Brother Chen, you. Xingchen smiled bitterly. The 10-year-old Rope Tree also graduated. Where is this to put himself? Xingchen, don't be discouraged, you are so smart. As long as you work a little harder, next year will definitely be fine. Tsunade glared at Rope Tree and changed the subject. Let's go. Go back first. Tomorrow is the birthday of the stars, and Tsunade and Naoki are discussing how to celebrate, but the party of the stars lacks interest. Hey, congratulations to the host on his 12th birthday. Activate the God-level lottery system. The inexplicable programmed voice in his mind made the stars who were in a daze shake. God-level lottery system, what the hell? Hey, the God-level lottery system is being bound, please later. Shoo, bind successful, host information is being logged. Name, Xingchen, gender, male, Age, 12. Points, 0. Level, Ninja School ungraduated. Current task, none. Sweepstakes permissions, Normal lottery area, none. Intermediate lottery area, none. Advanced lottery area, none. A series of information flashed in his mind, and in addition to the final lottery permission could not understand, Xingchen gradually understood what this so-called god-level lottery system was. After 12 years of silence, 12 years late, the gold finger that was exclusive to him finally arrived today. Episode 2. Tsunade noticed that Xingchen's expression was wrong, and couldn't help but ask strangely, Xingchen, what's wrong with you? Xingchen coughed solemnly and said, Tsunade, don't celebrate anything for me. How to live tomorrow, I have already figured it out. Let's hear it? I'll tell you tomorrow. I'm a little tired today, let's go back and rest. Xingchen yawned and walked into his room. Tsunade and Ropiki looked at each other, both shrugging their shoulders, expressing helplessness. With space alone, Xingchen immediately began to study this infinite lottery system. This system also doesn't have an elf assistant or anything, and it is very troublesome for Xingchen to communicate with it, and it took a long time to vaguely figure it out. The construction of the lottery system is actually very simple, and you can draw prizes by consuming points. The draw area is divided into 3 sections, normal, intermediate, and advanced. As the name suggests, the props drawn in the ordinary lottery area are ordinary levels. Items drawn in the intermediate draw area are rare. As for the high-level lottery area, it goes without saying that it must be a top-level prop treasure. Normal lottery area, which consumes 500 points at a time. Intermediate draw area, which consumes 5,000 points at a time. Advanced lottery area, which consumes 50,000 points at a time. Seeing this price, Xingchen wanted to curse people. Although he still has no concept of points, 50,000 points must be an astronomical amount, and I don't know how many tasks to accumulate. What made him even more helpless was that the lottery permissions in his 3 regions all showed none. This means that even if he has points, he cannot conduct a lottery. Isn't this a pitman? Hey, since the host uses the god-level lottery system for the first time, will it be used immediately by giving away a forced draw opportunity? Xingchen was slightly startled and asked, what is forced extraction? Forced extraction is to ignore points, ignore the permission to draw, forcibly break the rules, and forcibly draw an item arbitrarily in all time and space. The stars were startled, and then their eyes lit up. Use it now. Shoo, the host is using force extraction and the system is scanning. After waiting for half a minute. Hey, the forced extraction was successful. Congratulations on obtaining the god-level prop, Broken Jade. Xingchen thought he had misheard. Bangyu, the Hongyu owned by Lan Dai and the Grim Reaper? That super plugin that can evolve infinitely and is equal to a wishing machine? By the way, this can also be pumped out? Hey, please ask if the host immediately fuses the Jade. This time, Xingchen didn't even think about it, and gave the order, merge immediately. Xingchen, who has seen the original work of the Grim Reaper, knows that Hongyu has a will. In the Grim Reaper, only Lan Ran can control the Jade. If he doesn't have a system to help fuse, I'm afraid it will be difficult to control Bangyu. Hey, it's fusing Bangyu, please later. The stars could clearly feel that a living thing was guided into his body under an inexplicable force. At first, this baby-like life is restless and seems to want to resist, but gradually, it quieted down again, inhaling the breath of the stars. The 2 minds are integrated, exist as one, and are closely related. This is Bangyu. The stars feel that the body is changing and the world is changing. The reason why he was slow to graduate from ninja school was not because he didn't work hard, or had poor talent, but that the Naruto world seemed to reject him. And after fusing with Bangyu, that sense of repulsion completely disappeared. At this moment, he could clearly feel the faint chakra in his body boiling, and there seemed to be a faint tendency to break through the lower patience. This is the ability of Hongyu. Bangyu can guide the owner according to what he thinks and help the owner break the boundary. Xingchen knew that he was developed, and just one Jade collapse would doom him to be able to gallop through the ninja realm in the future and embark on the road to the top. Of course, Bangyu is not a direct wish machine, and wishes can be fulfilled immediately. Its role is only to guide, and if the stars are too negative, or their own potential is limited, they cannot meet the requirements, and it is futile. Hey, due to the forced extraction of Broken Jade, breaking the limit, you have obtained the Death God Time and Space lottery permission. Please check it in the lottery area. Xingchen adjusted the system panel to the lottery area, and sure enough, he found that it was different. Normal draw area, Reaper time and space. Intermediate draw area, Reaper time. Advanced draw area, Reaper space-time. Behind the 3 lottery areas is not nothing, but has become death time and space. After a little thought, Xingchen understood. The props obtained by the lottery must have their source. In the beginning, Xingchen did not have any extraction permissions. And now that the Grim Reaper time and space are opened, it means that the props he draws will come from the Grim Reaper time and space. Moreover, the stars understand. Reaper spacetime is just one of them, and there will definitely be other spacetimes open in the future, such as Pirates, Inuyasha, Dragon Ball, and so on. Even once in time and space, Breaking Through the Sky, Chankuan, Coiling Dragon, and Perfect World have a chance to open. At that time, the props he gets in the lottery will be diversified. Phew. It seems that it is necessary to accumulate more points, and with this god-level lottery system, it is only a matter of time before you conquer the ninja world. The stars have a bold heart, he has been bored and decadent for too long in the past 12 years, and finally it is his turn to rise. Hey, you have a new task, check it out in the taskbar. Xingchen opened the taskbar, and suddenly a task information jumped out. Beginner trial mission, graduate from ninja school and become a shinobi. Task difficulty, easy, mission reward, 500 points. I still have to eat the meal bite by bite, but for me now, the graduation assessment is no longer difficult, right? Xingchen thought. Just in the room, he practiced several basic ninjutsu for the graduation assessment, one by one. Early the next morning, Hogyoku found Tsunade. You said you were going to retake the assessment? Tsunade reached out and touched Xingchen's forehead, his expression strange. Yesterday, she also saw the stars listless, obviously hit and lost confidence in herself. Why is it so abnormal today? Although the assessment is over now, with your face, it should be no problem to open a back door for me, right? Hogyoku smiled at Tsunade and smiled heartily. Are you really confident? Tsunade didn't know what medicine was sold in the Star Gourd. Yesterday's assessment failed, today I am confident that I can pass? What can a night change? Episode 3. In the end, Tsunade came to school with the stars. Students are basically on holiday, and only teachers remain in school. The graduation examination has just ended, and the teachers are also sorting out the materials and preparing to report to the Hokage. When he saw Xingchen's teacher, Mui, he was coming out of the office with a pile of papers. Miss Tsunade. Mui greeted Tsunade respectfully. Is there something wrong with you? Teacher Mui, it's like this. Tsunade elaborates on the meaning of the stars. Mui pushed his glasses, glanced at Xingchen, and hesitated. Miss Tsunade, the list of graduates who passed the graduation examination this time has come out, and I was about to report to Naruto-sama. When Tsunade heard this, he immediately straightened his face and said slightly angrily, haven't you reported this yet? If Xingchen passes the assessment, just add his name. This seems non-compliant, right? Mui was embarrassed. The rule of the ninja school is to cultivate students into talents. As long as Xingchen has this ability, why can't he give him a chance? Mui thought to himself, but what ability does this kid have? Yesterday's assessment was personally supervised by me, and his several basic ninjutsu simply could not meet the standard. However, he also knew the relationship between Xingchen and Tsunade, and hesitated slightly, and responded, since Miss Tsunade spoke, then give him another chance. However, when I assessed him, Tsunade-san could not be present. Why is that? Are you still afraid that I will help him cheat? Tsunade was furious. Mui thought to himself, I'm really worried about this. Tsunade, you can wait here first, I'm fine alone. Xingchen knew that Mui was a relatively honest person. It was not difficult to see that he admired Tsunade, but the duties of a teacher, even if they are masters, should not be excessive. Okay then, the stars all spoke, and Tsunade didn't say more, just encouraged, come on, don't waste this opportunity. After Xingchen finished speaking, he walked with Mui into the school on the other side, while Tsunade waited in place. After waiting for about half an hour, Xingchen and Mui walked back. Tsunade immediately greeted him and asked eagerly, how is it? Seeing Tsunade's appearance, Xingchen just shrugged his shoulders and didn't say anything. Huh? Tsunade was puzzled, and looked at Mui, but it was even more strange to see that the latter looked panicked and absent-minded. Teacher Mui, what's wrong with you? Mui suddenly woke up. No. Nothing, the stars have already passed the assessment and can attend the graduation ceremony in a week's time. Ah. It's true. Tsunade was pleasantly surprised, and hugged the stars. Although for this kind of intimate action, the stars have already experienced many times. But I have to say that Tsunade's figure is too hot, especially the two soft places in front of him, directly pressing on his face. Rao is that no matter how high his determination is, he almost bleeds from his nose. I still have to report to the third generation of Hokage, so I will leave first. Mui didn't know whether he couldn't stand the stimulation of this picture, or if he had his thoughts in his heart and left in a hurry. Why is he weird? Tsunade thought it strange. Who knows? Xingchen was in a good mood and said with a sigh of relief, let's go, leave him alone, let's go back. You go back first, I have something to go to the teacher. Tsunade's teacher is naturally the third generation of Hokage. Okay, then I'll go first. Although Xingchen felt abrupt, he didn't think much about it, just because he also needed an independent space. In the Hokage office, Mui handed the Chinese to the three generations of Hokage for review, and briefly reported the information of this graduate. Well, the grades of this batch of graduates are not bad. The three generations of Hokage sighed meaningfully. They are all new shoots of Konoha, and they will grow into the pillars of Konoha in the future. Mui hesitated, but finally said, Lord Hokage, there is a special matter that needs to be reported to you. Say, it's about the stars. Oh? The three generations of Hokage looked surprised. He naturally paid attention to the stars. First, his parents died fighting for Konoha and were heroic martyrs. Second, Tsunade is his apprentice, and Xingchen has a close relationship with Tsunade. How could he not know? The third generation of Hokage glanced at the roster in his hand again, and suddenly saw the name of the star in the last line. Has this kid finally got the hang of it? Wrong. Mui, you just added his name, right? The 3 generations of Hokage saw the Mui Kanyen said, Lord Hokage is really as wise as a torch. That. What about your explanation? Xingchen did not meet the standard in yesterday's assessment. But just now, Miss Tsunade came to me with the stars and said that she wanted the stars to be evaluated separately. The 3rd generation's face loosened, but he didn't know whether he was happy or angry, and said calmly, since it was Tsunade who spoke, you definitely can't refuse. And now you add his name to show that he passed your assessment? Not only that. Mui pushed his glasses and said, because Xingchen's assessment this time is non-compliant and unfair to other students, I deliberately increased the difficulty of the assessment. But, when the 3 generations heard this, they were surprised. He still passed? I can only say that his use of several basic ninjutsu is not inferior to the lower ninja who graduated for a few years, and can even reach the level of middle ninja. Episode 4. After the 3 generations of Hokage listened, they fell silent. Of course he knew what Mui was thinking. It is clear that yesterday's people who did not meet the standards of all the foundations, after a night, they have undergone tremendous changes, not only passing the lower ninja assessment, but even the proficiency in the use of basic ninjutsu is no less than that of ordinary middle ninjutsu. This is indeed worth pursuing. Could it be that Tsunade did it? Pung! The office door was slapped open, and the domineering force almost shook the entire building several times, and Mui and the 3 generations of Hokage were frightened. Teacher, I seem to hear you saying bad things about me? But he saw Tsunade walk in angrily, without giving the 3 generations face at all. Ahem. The 3rd generation of Hokage's face turned red. How could he not have imagined that Tsunade was actually outside? He couldn't help but cough dryly, and then said majestically, Tsunade, just forget about messing around, be serious here. However, Tsunade didn't buy it at all, and hummed, Xingchen passed the assessment based on his own strength. Don't be suspicious, cross out his name. You think too much. Since Xingchen has this ability, how can I deliberately make it difficult for him? The 3rd generation of Hokage said helplessly, you really care about this kid, and you don't really like that for the rope tree, right? The rope tree is the same as the stars, they are both my younger brothers, and there is no difference. Whether there is a difference or not, you yourself know. The 3rd Hokage asked, are you here for this? One more thing. Tsunade suddenly smiled mysteriously, I want to become a guide shinobi, huh? The 3rd Hokage was stunned for a moment. Why, the big snake pill can bring disciples, can't I bring it? It's not impossible, it's just that I thought that someone as impatient as you would definitely not ask for this. The 3 generations were indeed surprised, and if he could, he certainly hoped that all 3 of his disciples could become instructors. It's just that he is also idle. Tsunade is hot-tempered and impatient, only the big snake pill is more suitable. So Tsunade offered to become a guide to shinobu, to his surprise. But after thinking about it, he seemed to understand again. Could it be you? That's right, Xingchen must be one of my students. Hey, congratulations on completing the newbie mission and rewarding you with 500 points. Hey, congratulations on completing the system task for the first time, and an additional 300 points will be rewarded. An additional 300 points were awarded, which was unexpected by the stars. But at the moment, what he was most excited about was not these 300 points, but that after having more than 500 points, he was eligible for a general district lottery. Although it is only a regular district lottery, it is still worth looking forward to. Ordinary lottery. The stars gave instructions to the system. Hey, consume 500 points, I'm drawing items for you. The source is the Grim Reaper time and space, please later. I waited about half a minute. Hey, congratulations on obtaining the ice and snow slashing knife, Sleeve White Snow. Do you bind it immediately? Sleeve White Snow? Xingchen's eyes lit up. He thought that he would draw the slashing knife, but he didn't expect to draw the Sleeve White Snow directly. Sleeve White Snow may not be the strongest slashing knife in the Ice and Snow series, but it is the most beautiful slashing knife in the entire Corpse Soul world. Bind now. Shoo, binding successful. The moment the system prompt was completed, Xingchen felt a force merge into his heart. At the moment when Sleeve White Snow is bound, Sleeve White Snow is equivalent to fusing with the stars, and the stars become the only owner of Sleeve White Snow. I saw Xingchen open his hand, his heart echoed, and a blade with endless chill appeared in his hand. The blade is cold, the blade is crystal clear, and it is as smooth as snow. At this moment, the stars only feel the most beautiful thing in the world, and that's all. Unable to put it down, he gently stroked the blade, and the Sleeve White Snow seemed to sense it, responding to him with soul fluctuations. Let's fight side by side in the future, Sleeve White Snow. In an instant, the frost spread, and within a radius, a layer of silver white was laid out. Although it is cold and slaughtering, it is beautiful to the extreme. When Hoshichin returns home, he finds Tsunade back and waiting for him with Rope Tree. What did you talk about with Hokage so quickly? Tsunade wanted to stop talking, but finally decided not to tell Xingchen for the time being, casually perfunctory, and asked rhetorically, where did you go just now? Before Xingchen could answer, the rope tree on the side suddenly jumped over in shock. Brother Chen, Did you really pass the graduation assessment? Hogyoku knew that Tsunade had already told the rope tree, and smiled slightly. Only you are allowed to graduate, but I am not allowed to graduate. Of course not. Rope tree hurriedly said, I'm just happy to graduate with Brother Chin. In this way, we can practice and do tasks together in the future. Xingchen's expression moved. You mean, after graduation, every 3 people form a small class, led by a mentor shinobu. I'll talk to Orochimaru-sensei and ask him to divide you. Well, Xingchen hesitated. For him, who has read the original book, he knows very well what kind of person the big snake pill is. Although the great snake pill had not rebelled at this time, his heart had not changed dramatically, and he was the most trusted disciple of the 3 generations of Hokage. But sooner or later, the big snake pill will take a dark step, and he does not dare to worship this kind of person as a teacher, so as not to make it difficult to do it later. Just as he was pondering how to refuse, Tsunade suddenly shouted, No, Xingchen can't go to Orochimaru. This sound frightened both the stars and the rope tree. The two looked at each other. Both of them were unclear. I don't know, I thought that Tsunade and Orochimaru had some deep hatred. Episode 5. A few days before the graduation ceremony, Xingchen and Rope Tree were together to discuss with each other. As for Tsunade, as an elite shinobu of Konoha, she could not accompany them all the time, and many tasks required her to take over. Pung! In the courtyard, the Rope Tree was defeated by a move and was punched by the stars. After stumbling to the ground, the Rope Tree was not annoyed, but showed even more surprise and adoration. Brother Chen, you are so powerful. Rope Tree is by no means his grades are at the top of the class, and among all the graduates this time, he can at least enter the top 5. However, when he practiced against the stars, although both of them used the techniques he had learned in school, he found that he couldn't keep up with the rhythm of the stars at all, and always slowed down a beat. He never knew that the stars were so strong. At this level, how could yesterday's assessment not pass? SOSO. Xingchen smiled casually, and with the Rope Tree, he would naturally have a reserved hand. For 12 years, his strength could not improve, not because he did not work hard, but because the Hokage world rejected him. After fusing with Banyu, that repulsive force disappeared without a trace, and the results of his years of hard work were revealed. The strength he now possessed was not directly given to him by Banyu, but it was something he should have possessed. Rope Tree, haven't you learned some special ninjutsu with Orochimaru? Xingchen knew that the Rope Tree must also have a hand. He is the grandson of the original Hokage, and he worships Orochimaru as a teacher, and he has learned more than that. Of course there is learning, but this is my secret weapon. The Rope Tree is very mysterious and has a bad smile. Xingchen could see that this guy probably thought that as soon as the secret weapon came out, he would not be his opponent. Well, since it's a secret weapon, you keep it to deal with the enemy. Xingchen patted his head and laughed. At this moment, a heavy footstep came, but he saw Tsunade go and return, his expression with a sadness that could not be concealed. Sister, what's wrong with you? Rope Tree asked, didn't you say that you went out on a mission? Why did you come back? Hogyoku also felt unusual. Tsunade's personality rarely showed such a negative look. Xingchen, Rope Tree, come with me to the hospital, Grandma Shi. No more. Rope Tree's face suddenly turned pale, and he couldn't help but cry. Xingchen's eyebrows froze. Tsunade's grandmother is Uzumaki Mito. Although Hogyoku lives with Tsunade Rope Tree, he has only seen Uzumaki Mito a few times. Ever since Senjukuma's death, Uzumaki Mito has been seriously ill. In recent years, because of old age, the limit is approaching, and the body is getting worse day by day. Of course, it is not that Xingchen is not close to people and does not go to the hospital to see her, but because the 3 generations of Hokage and Konoha's high-ranking people are forbidden to contact others. Even Tsunade and Rope Tree can only visit once or twice. Of course the stars know why. Uzumaki Mito is the first 9 tails of Konoha. The Uzumaki Mito limit is approaching, the 9 tails must be passed on, and Konoha must be looking for a new human pillar force to carry out the 9 tails handover. Sister, although grandma has always been in poor health, but the last time I went to see her, wasn't she okay? Why suddenly? Rope Tree couldn't accept this reality. I don't know, Grandma wants to see you guys for the last time, let's go. Tsunade is no longer as lively as before, and his mood is very low. The Rope Tree did not say more, but directly snatched the door and ran out. When the 3 of them rushed to the hospital, they saw some familiar faces. 3 generations of Hokage, Shimura Danzo, Sleeping Koharu, Mito Manita. Konoha High-Rise, almost all arrived. However, as a Uzumaki Mito, he can also afford this treatment. Grandma, the Rope Tree threw himself in front of the hospital bed and cried. He was still young, and he couldn't bear the parting of life and death for his loved ones. Although the stars did not cry out like the Rope Tree, their hearts were equally heavy. Birth, old age, sickness, and death, although natural, but how cruel. The death of a person is not just a personal matter, and all those who care about him are saddened and depressed because of it. When sighing, Xingchen's gaze swept around the room again, and suddenly he was slightly startled, and his gaze was fixed on the 5 or 6-year-old girl next to Xiaochun. This little girl is very beautiful, her skin is pink and snow white, like a delicate porcelain doll. What is more striking is her long bright red hair, which looks special. Uzumaki Joshinai? Xingchen immediately guessed the identity of the little girl. The Vortex clan is born with a huge amount of chakra and has an innate advantage in suppressing tailed beasts. Uzumaki Kushina is the inheritor of Uzumaki Mito, the next 9-tailed man pillar force. It's just that this matter, I'm afraid only the high level of Konoha knows, not even Tsunade Rope Tree. Jioshina was brought over from the war-torn Uzumaki country, and although she did not have much contact with the Uzumaki Mito of the same race, her eyes were still red at this time, and she couldn't bear to leave. Just as she turned her head, she accidentally found a pair of straight eyes watching her. To be honest, Xingchen thought for a while, and it was indeed rude to keep staring at Uzumaki Joshinai like this. Therefore, after Joshinai found out, his face turned unnaturally red, but he was a little annoyed in his heart. This person looks handsome, but on this occasion, he is so rude and presumptuous. Xingchen came back to his senses and found that Joshinai was staring at him with a pair of round eyes, and he couldn't help but be embarrassed. He didn't know what to say, so he could only smile in return and ease the atmosphere. However, it's good not to smile. This smile made Joshinai think that Xingchen was deliberately teasing her, and the impression was extremely poor. Joshinai turned her head away, and could still hear her slight humming nonchalantly. Xingchen shrugged helplessly. It was really an unpleasant first meeting. Episode 6. In the end, Uzumaki Mito left. Although she is also approaching, it is obviously more important to inherit the 9 tails and consume the last bit of life force. Otherwise, with Konoha's medical level, he would definitely be able to live for a while. Before Uzumaki Mito died, she only glanced at the stars a few times, but she couldn't speak. She mainly told the rope tree something, and everyone in the room was silent. As blood relatives, Ropiki and Tsunade are to keep a spiritual watch for Uzumaki Mito for 3 days. Xingchen is not a member of the Senju family, and even if he has a heart, he is not qualified to guard the spirit with the rope tree Tsunade. Moreover, he and Uzumaki Mito had only met 2 or 3 times, and indeed they did not have too deep feelings, too contrived, and were not necessary. So in the past few days, Xingchen still focused on cultivation. He now has a god-level lottery system, with Bang Jade and Sleeve White Snow. No matter which aspect, it can be said that a qualitative change has occurred. However, this does not mean that he can slack. On the contrary, he must work harder. With such good conditions, how can it be abandoned? The road of the strong is not taken. Once you set foot on it, you have to stand at the top. Rope tree, have you seen the stars? Relieved from her sadness, Tsunade realized that the stars seemed to have disappeared from her sight for days. In the past few days, I have been busy running for my grandmother's affairs, and I have ignored the stars for a while. However, speaking of which, the stars also seem to have become mysterious, and seem to be deliberately avoiding her and the rope tree. Rope tree shook his head blankly and said, "No, these days, Brother Chen leaves early and returns late every day. His whereabouts are mysterious, and he seems to be very tired every day." Tired? Did he go to the mountains again to practice? In his memory, when Xingchen was a child, he liked to sneak up to the mountains alone to practice weight training, physical training, endurance training, showing tenacity far beyond his peers. It was then that she saw an indescribable charm in the stars. Brother Chen is so powerful, and he is still working so hard. Rope Tree said bitterly, "It seems that I can't relax in the future, otherwise even if I have the ninjutsu taught by Orochimaru, I am afraid that I will lose to Brother Chen." Rope Tree, what ninjutsu did Orochimaru teach you? Tsunade asked curiously. Very powerful ninjutsu. The rope tree is still very mysterious, and he refuses to reveal it to Tsunade. Tsunade rolled his eyes. What ninjutsu will Orochimaru order? I still don't know. Pretend to be mysterious in front of me. When the two talked like this, the melancholy in their hearts was also reduced a lot. However, at this moment, he suddenly saw a black shadow fall into the courtyard and saluted Tsunade respectfully. People from the Dark Division? Tsunade immediately recognized the identity of the person and asked with a frown, "What happened?" The dark part, as a rule, is naturally hidden in the dark. You will not show up unless necessary. Miss Tsunade, the sealing scroll of the original Hokage was stolen by San Shinobu, and the 3rd generation ordered all ninjas to pursue San Shinobu with all their might. What? Tsunade exclaimed, how could something as important as the seal scroll be stolen so easily? The village not only infiltrated Shinobu, but even stole important sealing scrolls, which was like a fantasy. Because of the funeral of Mito-sama, the guards could not concentrate, and even the 3 generations of adults neglected it. Moreover, the other party obviously had a premeditated plan and found out the location of the sealing scroll very clearly. Tsunade suddenly realized that in the past few days, almost all the attention of the village was focused on the funeral of his grandmother, and he relaxed his vigilance, which was exploited. Have you found out their whereabouts? How many are there? There are only 2 people who have infiltrated the village, and they are just ordinary Zongnin. However, there must be strong hands outside, and once they meet, I am afraid that things will be difficult to handle. Infiltrating a village and stealing the seal scroll is undoubtedly a mortal sin. Therefore, the people sent by Sand Ninja must be two small characters who do not have much representation. If it succeeds, better. If it fails, Shinobu will definitely sacrifice these two people, as if they don't know about it. Konoha and Shinobu will not go to war because of this incident. This is the dark means of politics. Phew. Let's get here today, sleeve white snow, let's go back. In the dimly lit forest, Xingchen exhaled wearily and put away his sleeves of white snow. Although the practice has been very tiring in the past few days, he has gained a lot, and he has been able to make good use of the ability of Bai Shui. The slashing knife pays attention to the unity of mind and spirit, and the cultivation of the state of mind. This kind of cultivation is not at all easier than physical training, but more tiring. Is there anyone over there? The stars are strange, he often practices in this area, and there are few people here except him. But today, it seems very lively. Xingchen walked over and found that there were two teams of people and horses in front of him, and the two sides were tense, and it seemed that they were about to fight if they didn't agree with each other. Of course, to exaggerate, it is actually just a group of children in their teens. The oldest person is estimated to be as old as the stars. The stars swept over these 7 or 8 little boys, and suddenly smiled inexplicably, feeling interesting. Because these two groups of people are people from the Uchiha family and the Hyuga family. The costumes of the Uchiha family are easy to identify, while the Hinata family is all white eyes, which is better recognizable. Uchiha Fugaku, you kind of repeat the words of the day. On Hinata's side, a teenager in white clothes with an angry questioning look on his face, and the members of the Hyuga family behind him were all dominated by him. The Uchiha family is also led by an 11-12-year-old boy. But this young man, untamed, with a contemptuous demeanor, looked down on the Hyuga family. What about it again? Hinata Feiyu, I'm not targeting you. I'm just saying that the people of your Hyuga family are all waste. P.S. Something went out today, didn't have time to update. Sorry, it's an accident. Episode 7. You. Uchiha Fugaku, I'm going to duel you. The boy named Hinata's face turned red and angry. The children of the Hyuga family behind him also felt insulted and clenched their fists one after another, and the atmosphere became even more tense. Not to mention the people of the Hyuga family. Even Xingchen couldn't help but be shocked when he heard this. It turned out that Uchiha Fugaku was so arrogant when he was a child, and at the age of 11 or 12, he seemed to be the leader of Uchiha's generation, and everyone was headed by him. As for Hinata Feiyu, Xingchen has never heard of it, and it is estimated that he is a soy sauce character. Hinata, I heard you right, you want to duel me? Uchiha Fugaku chuckled. Have you forgotten that you were beaten to your knees by me a few days ago and begged for mercy? You. Hinata, don't talk about those hypocrites. If you wanted to fight with me alone, you wouldn't have called so many people to come with you. Uchiha Fugaku clasped his hands to his chest in a playful gesture. But if you want to win with more, I'm afraid it's also difficult. Not much to say, our people from the Uchiha family, one hit the two of you is still more than enough. The Uchiha boys, who stood behind Uchiha Fugaku, all showed a playful look, obviously agreeing with Uchiha Fugaku's words. Only after beating will you know. Hinata looked unconvinced. But at this moment, a teenager behind Hinata walked up, showing a different calmness and composure than everyone. With outsiders present, you are not afraid of being seen as a joke. Hayashi, what are you talking about? Hinata wondered. When Uchiha Fugaku heard this, his expression moved, and after scanning the surroundings for a moment, he suddenly looked towards the place where the stars were hiding. Who is it? Come out. Uchiha Fugaku's drink immediately focused everyone's attention. I really didn't expect that a small fight would hide 2 generations of big people. Seeing that Xingchen's whereabouts were exposed, he no longer concealed it and walked out directly. He really didn't expect that a few years later, the patriarchs of the 2 major families of Uchiha and Hinata would have a gambling fight here today. Stars? As soon as the stars appeared, both the Uchiha family and the Hinata family recognized the stars. These 2 people are classmates with Xingchen, and even if Xingchen has not performed well, they still have some impressions of Xingchen. Urju, do you know him? Uchiha Fugaku asked the boy who recognized the stars. Well, he is from our class, but he failed the graduation examination, and his strength is very poor. This way. Uchiha Fugaku set his gaze on the stars again, and asked in a haughty tone, It's so late, what are you doing here? Could it be that Hinata invited helper? Uchiha Fugaku, what are you talking nonsense? I don't know him. Hinata Feiyu denied. Besides, he can't even pass the graduation exam, and I won't find him if I want to find someone. Xingchen shrugged and said, I just passed by with soy sauce, and saw that you guys were lively here, and watched on the side for a while. What's there to see? Go away, otherwise even if you are not Hinata's helper, I will even fight you together. Xingchen raised his eyebrows and said lightly, even fight with me? Do you have that ability? Yo, boy, you dare to talk to brother Fuyue like that? The boy named Urju became upset. Although he and Xingchen are classmates, they have no friendship at all. Xingchen this kind of crane tail, he also despised it. Am I wrong? Xingchen glanced at Urju and said, "Do you think your Fuyue brother is very powerful? But it seems that he was not the first to find me just now." As soon as these words came out, Uchiha Fugaku's arrogant demeanor immediately converged a little, and his eyes stared at the white boy beside Hinata Feiyu. "What's your name?" Hinata. The teenager is neither humble nor promiscuous. Very good, it seems that the strongest in the Hyuga family is not Hinata, but you. Uchiha Fumo rubbed his fists and said, "I think it's up to the two of us to fight." The teacher said that they are also Konoha ninjas, and they can't fight privately. If you want to compare, you can go to the battlefield to compare later. Hinata Hayashi shook her head and rejected Uchiha Fugaku. Hinata, you were scared to say that, right? Afraid? Hinata Feiyu sneered, although Hinata is low-key, his strength is definitely stronger than yours. Yes, that makes me even more interested. I have to compete with you today. Uchiha Fugaku was obstinate and very domineering, and he actually raised his hand, and two shurikens shot towards Hinata. Even though Hinata Hayashi was calm, he couldn't imagine that Uchiha Fugaku suddenly struck, and he threw shuriken directly. What if this really hurts someone? However, at this moment, a figure flashed and appeared in front of Hinata Hayashi, taking down the two shurikens. The eyes of everyone present widened. Receiving shuriken with bare hands is also too exaggerated, right? Xingchen, you. Uchiha Urju feels that his head is not enough. This guy is really the crane tail that can't pass the graduation assessment? Uchiha Fugaku froze for a moment, and then stared at the stars with dead eyes. If Hinata Hayashi made him interested, then the current stars made him jealous. He was the first graduate of this class, how could anyone catch the shuriken he threw with his bare hands? Shoo! Facing everyone's shock, Xingchen just made a silent gesture and reminded, "Someone is coming. Little ghost, it's pretty good, can you actually find us?" As soon as Xingchen's words fell, two figures suddenly jumped down from the tree, with playful looks on their faces. Episode 8. You're not Konoha's ninjas? When Xingchen saw the two, his eyes froze slightly, and his heart became cautious. Although it has not yet reached the period of the Second Shinobi War, the ninja villages are constantly in conflict with each other, and there are many precautions against each other. Without permission, the ninja of his village entered the village privately, and for whatever reason, it was a capital offense. And the stars also found that one of them was carrying a huge scroll. In the original book, Naruto was instigated by Mizuki to steal the scroll of the original Hokage seal. Could it be that this scroll is the one? If this is the case, Konoha is probably already pursuing these two people with all his strength now. The rabbit is in a hurry and bites, and if these two are forced to be urgent, it is difficult to say what they will do. When Xingchen said this, the teenagers of Uchiha and Hinata also became nervous. They were not fools, and they could see that these two people were not good. Uchiha Fugaku shouted, "If you don't leave quickly, if you are found by the other ninjas of Konoha, you will surely die." The two middle-aged ninjas smiled darkly. "We also want to leave, but unfortunately we were chased too hard by your Konoha ninjas, so we can only come here temporarily to hide. As long as you are within the range of Konoha, you can't hide. It's better to turn yourself in obediently. It's really hard to hide if you expose your whereabouts, but if you have hostages on your hands, it is estimated that it will be much better. What do you think?" The two showed a conspiratorial sneer. When everyone heard this, they were shocked. "You guys, you are all graduates of this class, and you all look like you have good potential. If you are arrested, Konoha will not dare to act rashly. These two ninjas may be just small characters that can be sacrificed at any time for the Sand Ninja Village, but after all, they are also two battle-hardened Naka shinobi. And the group of teenagers such as Uchiha and Hinata are just students who have just graduated from school, and the flowers in the greenhouse have never seen a real battle between life and death. Therefore, several people immediately trembled with fright and subconsciously wanted to retreat. None of them can run. The two Naka shinobi sneered and sealed at the same time. Tuduan, the art of 1,000 prisons. A cage of earth rises flat, trapping everyone in it, unable to move freely. It's over, there's no place to run. Mom and Dad, I'm going home. Some simply held, "Shut up for me." Uchiha Fugaku scolded angrily, causing the man to stop crying, but he still choked a few times. "Yo, you little devil is quite daring, right?" The two shinobi stared at Uchiha Fugaku. Uchiha Fugaku's expression was gloomy, and he seemed to be measuring something in his heart. "Hayashi, what should I do?" Hinata looked at Hinata with an uneasy expression. Hinata Hayashi did not speak, but looked at the stars. Xingchen touched his chin, took 2 steps forward, faced the two shinobi, and asked, "You guys use the earth to hide and lock yourself in. Is this preparing to catch turtles in the urn? What do you think?" Even though the stars behaved a little uniquely, the two shinobi did not pay attention to it. In their opinion, no matter how special the stars are, they are just a little ghost. "I think it's indeed a turtle caught in an urn, but who is the turtle has yet to be determined." Hashichin suddenly turned his words and said to Uchiha Fugaku and Hinata, "You two, are you really ready to sit still?" Give it your best, and maybe there will be a chance. Uchiha Fugaku and Hinata Hayashi hadn't spoken yet, but the two shinobu laughed heartily. Little ghost, are you so carried away, just you still want to fight? Although you are Zongnin, but there are many of us, who says that we will definitely lose when we fight? Xingchen was calm and said lightly, look down on the Konoha ninja, but you will suffer. Yes, then I'll kill you first and see who will suffer. The sand shinobu who was carrying the scroll smiled cruelly, and suddenly rushed towards the stars without warning. There are so many hostages here, it doesn't matter if you kill one or two. Shinobu's speed was very fast, and coupled with the sudden movement, it was almost unresponsive. However, at this moment, a figure in white appeared in front of the stars, with a cold, calm and unyielding face. I'll repeat the words of the stars, look down on the Konoha ninja, but you will suffer. Shinobu looked at Hinata Hayashi, who suddenly appeared in shock. How could this little ghost speed be so fast? White eyes. Hinata's white eyes opened instantly, and the blue chakra condensed in his palms, slapped out at great speed. Soft fist Bugwa, 64 palms. How is it possible to get your wish? Shinobu panicked and resisted. Pung. However, after half a beat slowly, Hinata slammed both palms on Shinobu's abdomen, sending it flying. It's a pity. Hinata sighed secretly. He knew that although he hit Shinobu, he still avoided the acupuncture path and the key point by him. Otherwise, this move would be enough to make him lose his combat power. The teenagers of the Uchiha family and the Hyuga family were dumbfounded. Hyuga Hayashi was actually so powerful that he knocked out a Naka shinobi? This strength will definitely not be weaker than Uchiha Fugaku. Uchiha Fugaku, didn't you want to compete with me just now? How about us 1-against-1? Hinata Hayashi seems to be provoking and seems to be motivating. Why not? The one who was injured by you will be given to you, and the other one will be handed over to me. Uchiha Fugaku immediately agreed. Hinata Hayashi smiled and said, then you have to hold out for a long time, and when I solve my one, I will help you. Fart, I need your help? Uchiha Fugaku shouted angrily, and then rushed towards the shinobu. Hinata was also not slow, and faced another opponent. Uchiha and the people of the Hyuga family both pinched a cold sweat in their hearts. Two shinobi singled out two Naka shinobi. How could this win? The stars are clear. Hinata Hayashi and Uchiha Fugaku themselves are very clear. Even if their strength is not bad, against the previous Naka shinobu alone, there is not much chance of winning at all. But the situation is critical now, and as representatives of Uchiha and Hinata, they can't back down, and they only want to delay the battle as much as they can and wait for the rescue of Konoha ninjas. It seems that we should also make a move. The stars forced down the fatigue after a day of training, calmed down and meditated. Ling Wu, Sleeve White Snow. Episode 9. The two shinobi were shocked for a while at Hinata's sudden threat. However, they were Naka ninja after all, and when they came back to their senses, they couldn't help but laugh angrily when they saw that Hinata Hayashi and Uchiha Fugaku actually wanted to single them out one-on-one. Big brother, we seem to have been underestimated by two imps. That's true, then come up with some means for them to see. Naka shinobu, who was carrying the scroll, licked his lips and stared at Hinata coldly. Little ghost, dare to do something to me. I will let you know what the consequences are. If you want to fight, hit it. So much nonsense. Hinata snorted coldly, and the soft fist posture was straight, not afraid at all. Well, as you wish. Shinobu waved both hands in the scroll at the same time. Two sharp kunai appeared in his hands, an arrow stepped out, and in the blink of an eye he came to Hinata's body. Yikes! Kuwu's blade slashed out, as if it were two arrows slashed by the wind, and almost the sound of breaking through the sky could be heard. Although Hinata Hayashi has wide eyes, his physical strength and body movements are limited, and it is very difficult to keep up with the movements of the other party. Laugh at. After the instant confrontation, Hinata had already left a blood stain on his body, and his clothes were torn in several places. Hee hee, little ghost, where did the ruthlessness that sneaked up on me just now? Is it only the power to parry? Endure sarcasm in the scroll. Hinata Hayashi was silent, cold-eyed, slowly looking for opportunities. It's now. After wrestling with Shinobu in the scroll for a moment, Hinata suddenly exerted his strength again, his left foot sinking, and his body spinning slightly. Soft fist Bagwazang. The seemingly weak fist once again burst out with amazing force, bombarding Shinobu. So naive. However, at this moment, Scroll Shinobu smiled disdainfully, and his hands quickly sealed. Earth escape, earth flow vortex. Under Hinata's feet, the ground instantly turned into a swamp of dirt, flowing rapidly. Hinata was so deeply immersed in it that she couldn't move, and her body slowly sank, as if she was about to be swallowed in. Hinata was shocked. Sure enough, there was still too much gap between him and Naka shinobu. It's over, go die, little ghost. The scroll laughed cruelly, his hands were bitter, and he delivered a fatal blow. At this moment, a drop of crystalline snowflakes fell, dripped on his face, and quickly melted. Although the snowflakes were small, they caused him to raise a chill, even creepy, and flashed to the side in horror. Snow, you seem to have forgotten my existence? Suddenly, the cold voice rose, and the cold edge appeared. The star didn't know when he had already appeared behind Shinobu in the scroll, jumped high, and slashed down with a slash. Although Shinobu in the scroll was momentarily stunned, his reaction was extremely fast, and his hands were struggling to block upward. Clang, Xingchen's knife was caught by two bitter deaths, unable to move. Humph, after all, it's a little ghost, and you almost took the opportunity. But your strength is too weak, even if you sneak attack, you can't help me, yes? Xingchen sneered, look at my knife. The scroll couldn't help but be surprised, and subconsciously stared at the star's knife, as if falling into an empty world. The whole body of this knife is snow white and crystal clear, extremely beautiful, and the snow white ribbon floating at the handle seems to dance in the air, intertwining the most beautiful and splendid scenery in the world. Suddenly, I saw Xingchen take a step back, holding the sleeve white snow in his right hand, and the fingers of his left hand lightly touching the blade, intertwined with each other. First dance, moon white. In an instant, a huge icicle surrounded Shinobu in the scroll, and then soared into the sky, freezing that piece of time and space. Click! Immediately, the icicles broke, and Shinobu's body immediately shattered into pieces. This, Hinata Hayashi's eyes widened, this Naka Shinobu died like this? That icicle, what kind of ninjutsu, how could it be so powerful? Phew. It's really expectedly difficult. Although he killed San Shinobu, Xingchen felt that his body began to be overwhelmed, and he was a little dizzy. After all, he had been practicing here for a day, and he was already very tired, and at this time, he had a lot of workload. How are you? Hinata asked. I'm fine, you go help Uchiha Fugaku. Xingchen waved his hand. Hinata nodded, and then ran towards the two who were fighting on the side. The battle on Uchiha Fugaku's side has entered a white heat, and at first Uchiha Fugaku was almost completely suppressed, but he actually fought more and more courageously and reached a stalemate with the other party. Hinata's sudden addition made San Shinobu even more confused, and he could almost parry. Xingchen knew that the victory was decided, and while breathing a sigh of relief, he bent down and picked up the scroll in front of him. It is worthy of being the sealing scroll of the original Hokage, even if it is wrapped in moon-white icicles, it cannot be destroyed. Tsunade rushed outside the forest, and when he saw the Konoha ninja surrounding the forest but not entering, he couldn't help but ask, what's going on? Miss Tsunade, I've confirmed that those two shinobi entered this forest, it's just what? It's just that they may have hostages in their hands, and we dare not enter it rashly. When Tsunade heard this, his face suddenly changed. Xingchen liked this activity when he was a child, could it be that San Shinobu held Xingchen hostage? Abominable. Tsunade couldn't hold back any longer, got up and rushed towards the woods. However, at this moment, a figure blocked her way. Tsunade, don't be reckless, Kato broke, get out of the way. Tsunade's tone was irrefutable. Before this, she and Kato also had a relationship and had a certain affection for this calm man, but right now, the safety of the stars is at stake, and she doesn't allow anyone to stop it. Miss Tsunade, for the safety of the hostages inside, please. You see, what is that? Before Kato finished speaking, a snow-white and crystalline icicle suddenly rose up in the forest, crossing the sky, intertwining into a unique landscape of this hot summer. This is ice? Tsunade and Kato were shocked at the same time. Episode 10. What's going on? Where is my family Fugaku? At the same time, two figures appeared in an instant, coming to everyone's eyes. It's the head of the Uchiha and Hinata families. Kato recognized the two and walked over to salute. The two, Uchiha and Hinata, there are many people in the forest. I am afraid that they have been held hostage by Shinobu, and we are discussing how to rescue them. What? Damn Shinobu, if something happens to my family Fuyue, I won't be able to spare them. Tsunade glanced at the two, and then with a movement in his heart, he broke through the Konoha guard and rushed into the forest. Miss Tsunade, don't. Kato was desperate to stop it, but it was too late. When Uchiha Ryo saw that Tsunade had entered, his heart was fierce, and he also rushed in after him. Your Excellency Ryuichi. Kato didn't know what to do. If the other party only takes one hostage, it is nothing to rush in, because the other party does not dare to kill at will. But there are so many hostages inside, they can hold a lot of chips. What if they provoke them and kill a few at will? Since they are all in, it is useless to get tangled, see the opportunity to act. Maki Hinata said to Kato and rushed in as well. Kato sighed helplessly, and could only follow with the Konoha ninja. When Tsunade, Kato Take, and Ryuichi Uchiha, and Maki Hinata rushed in, they were undoubtedly shocked to see the scene here. There are more than 10 teenagers here, and none of them seem to be in any big deal, while Hinata Hayashi and Uchiha Fugaku are teaming up against a shinobi. San Shinobu was already afraid, and at this time, seeing the Konoha ninja coming in large numbers, all thoughts were in ashes, and they were even more defeated. Pung! Hinata Hayashi punches the shinobi, knocking it away, and the Konoha ninja quickly subdues it. Hayashi, well done. Hyuga Maki greatly appreciated, and Hinata Hayashi's defeat of Shinobu must bring great fame to his Hyuga family. What to be proud of, if it weren't for the assistance of my family Fugaku, Hinata Hayashi would not have been able to touch Shinobu no matter what. Uchiha Ryuichi was upset. Having said that, it was still Hinata who defeated Shinobu after all. Maki Hinata said proudly, Humph, as far as I know, there are 2 shinobi, this is only one, and the other must have been defeated by my family Fugaku. Maki Hinata hesitated slightly, walked up to Hinata Hayashi, and asked, Hinata, what about a shinobu? Hinata Hayashi did not speak, but looked at the stars on the side. Xingchen, you have nothing to do, scare me to death. Tsunade was half bent over, with an urgent look on his face, carefully examining his body for the stars. Xingchen shook his head helplessly. Tsunade, it's not like this. It's good that I'm also a graduate now. I can't cope with this kind of battle. How to go to the battlefield in the future. Tsunade reached out and flicked on Xingchen's head, and said, if you want to go to battle, of course, you have to accompany me, otherwise I can't worry. That's not okay, you can't follow me all your life. Xingchen said, in 2 days of the graduation ceremony, I will have my own team, and I will definitely follow my advisor. Tsunade was stunned for a moment, then smiled mysteriously, that's right, then you have to follow your teacher well. Xingchen looked at Tsunade, and suddenly had a bad premonition in his heart. With his knowledge of Tsunade, this smile is definitely conspiratorial. In a valley not far from Konoha village, a group of men and horses who hide their faces are waiting in secret. Suddenly, a signal came, and the leader took the signal and looked at it, and his expression changed. Mission failed, withdraw. The theft of the sealing scroll caused a lot of storms in Konoha village. Fortunately, the sealing scroll was eventually recovered intact, and the thieves were caught. What makes people even more talked about is that the defeat of the Tunaka shinobu and the recapture of the seal scroll turned out to be a group of students who had just graduated. Among them, Uchiha Fugaku and Hinata Hayashi showed their limelight, adding a lot of prestige to the Uchiha family and the Hinata family, and both Ryuichi Uchiha and Maki Hinata were very happy. Hashichin killed a shinobi, as if to be attributed to Uchiha Fugaku's head, but Xingchen doesn't care. Being famous means trouble, and if he is held accountable for Bai Shui, he doesn't know how to explain it. As for the relationship between Konoha and Shinobu, just as Hashina expected, Shinobu did not admit that the two ninjas were their command. After the negotiations between the two sides, the matter was settled. Fast forward 2 days, and the graduation ceremony came. Rope Tree is still sad about his grandmother's death, but it has also weakened a lot, and he still attended the graduation ceremony with Xingchen. In the classroom, more than 40 graduates gathered together. Today is the day that all of you here officially graduate. Congratulations to you. After graduation, you will be Konoha shinobi, and the 3 of you will form a class, and an instructor will take you on a mission. On the stage, Mui was serious, and then took out a list. Next, I began to assign. The first shift, Taichi Kato, Hitakazu Akimichi, and Reikomi. Second class, Mikoto Uchiha, Hisatsu Nara, Yenta the oil girl. Hearing Mui read Uchiha Mikoto, Xingchen immediately paused, and then looked towards the beautiful girl with long black hair in the front row. Hey, brother Chen, you won't fancy people, will you? The rope tree next to him smiled wickedly. Mikoto used to be in our class, I know her. Do you want me to help you? Don't speak, no one treats you as a dumb. Before he finished speaking, Xingchen gave him a violent chestnut. 5th class, Senja Rope Tree, Yamanaka Hawkeye, Flagwood Wing. Hearing his name, Rope Tree sighed, Brother Chen, we are not together. Xingchen shrugged and said, your instructor is Orochimaru, and I don't want to follow him. Why? Rope Tree asked suspiciously.